College Football Now by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here as conference realignment appears to be winding down for the moment anyway. We are going to break down the winners and losers from this latest round of realignment. I'll share my thoughts as we get started right away on the winners list. The chief of the Big 12, the head honcho himself, Brett Yormark, was outstanding with the moves that he made for the Big 12. And it wasn't just bringing in the four corner schools of Colorado, Arizona State, and Utah, but setting the foundation to make that happen with the media rights agreement that the Big 12 signed last fall. And that media rights agreement gave every Big 12 school $31.7 million and also would give new members from Power 5 conferences that they added that same amount of money as well. And by doing so, not only did they get the linear TV rights with ESPN and Fox, but they also skipped the line of the Pac-12. They jumped the Pac-12 and got the TV deal, which closed the door for the Pac-12 to get a linear TV deal in their own right. Yormark, what he did with this Big 12 conference, remember the Big 12 was on the brink of collapse after Oklahoma and Texas left the Big 12 conference. What does he do? He goes and gets that media deal. He brings in the four corner schools, and all of a sudden the Big 12 is clearly the third best conference in America, and they're in a position of strength that they haven't been in. Brett Yormark did a fantastic job. The future is bright. They got a hell of a leader there in the Big 12. Let's go to the losers list we go. From one genius in Brett Yormark to a guy that's not so much. George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of the Pac-12 Conference, made a lot of mistakes in how things were handled in the Pac-12 and the decisions that he made. Under Kliavkoff's watch, USC and UCLA announced that they were leaving last year. And then what did he do? Well, nothing. Literally nothing. The Pac-12 was not proactive in replacing USC and UCLA. Then we see the Big 12 take the four corner schools. Oregon and Washington go to the Big 10. They never expanded. They had talked about San Diego State and SMU, but it never happened. They never got the media deal that they wanted. They let the Big 12 jump them in line. They tried to push this idea of an Apple TV product for $20+ million, and it just wasn't going to work. George Kliavkoff made dumb decisions time after time. And although he was dealt a tough hand by Larry Scott, he didn't make things better at all and made this decision pretty easy for those other schools to ultimately want to leave the Pac-12 conference. It was a rough outing by George Kliavkoff. He made a lot of mistakes, and ultimately it was a big reason why this Pac-12 conference is about to not exist anymore. Who was the most to blame? Was it George Kliavkoff? Was it Larry Scott? Was it USC and UCLA? Was it the University of Presidents? There's a lot of finger-pointing going around. Our pin comment today, who is the most to blame for the downfall of the Pac-12 conference? Weigh in and tell us what you think in the comment section. Back to the winners list we go, and that is where we find the Big 10 Conference. The Big 10 or the Big 18, if you want to call it that, with their latest additions of Oregon and UCLA. And think about this, the quality that they were able to get in Oregon and Washington. I think Oregon and Washington are two of the top 15 programs in all of college football. Oregon has been consistently good. Washington's been to a college football playoff in the last few years. You get some great markets in the Pacific Northwest and Seattle and Portland as well. And think about this, as far as what the Big Ten pulled off here. Nobody in the league is losing money from Oregon and Washington coming in. They're not taking more of the pie. And you got them in without even having to pay them a full revenue share as well. Both teams are taking partial revenue shares for the rest of this TV contract, and then they'll get the full revenue share later. This was a big win for the Big Ten, and they make things easier. They own the West Coast now with Oregon and Washington, USC, and UCLA out there. Big Ten was brilliant to go ahead and bring in Oregon and Washington. The next on the losers list is the so-called Pac-4 with Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, and Cal. At the time of this recording, Stanford and Cal are begging, pleading, somebody, please take us. Whether it's the ACC or Big Ten, And we've heard Stanford could be willing to go without a revenue share potentially. Meanwhile, Oregon State and Washington State, nobody wants them. They're not going to be in a power conference. They're hoping to rebuild the Pac-12 potentially, or they might just end up in the Mountain West. Bottom line is this. These schools are either going to go to a Power 5 conference and not get any money or very minimal money, or you're going to get stuck in the group of 5 and not be in a power conference, and your revenue, your TV revenue, is going to greatly decrease from what you're making right now. That's a big yikes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Those 4 teams are screwed, pretty much. It's a bad situation for all 4 of those schools where they stand right now. Little challenge out there for the college football fans watching us here on College Football Now. We've been increasing our college football coverage here on College Football Now. And if you want more of that college football coverage, here's what I want from you guys. I want to see if we can get 40 subscribers off today's video. My bosses are telling me that if we get 40 subscribers off today's show, then we're going to bring you more college football content. Simple as that. So if you guys want us to talk more college football, go ahead and prove it. Subscribe to the channel now. Let's get 40 more subs off today's video, and I promise you we'll talk more college football here on Chat Sports. Subscribe for free today and turn on notifications. Back to the winners list we go. That is where we find Brigham Young University. It was a long road to get there, but BYU is in a power conference in the Big 12 now. And BYU, it wasn't just the fact that they're now in a power conference and they're in the Big 12, but now their arch rival, Utah, is also joining them in the Big 12. And they have some neighbors with Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State. So BYU took a big gamble going independent, trying to prove themselves that they belonged on the national stage with the power conferences. They got that bid. They go to the Big 12. They get the full revenue share, and they get their arch rival Utah again and some friends out west. I mean, a big win for BYU, a 180 from where they were at a couple years ago. BYU has a lot of potential to really build up that football program and take that next step. Back to the losers list. That's where we find Florida State. Florida State, I mean, they made it very clear that they were not happy with their situation in the ACC, that they felt like they deserved more of a revenue share. We heard somebody from their board of trustees say that it's not a matter of if, but when they leave the ACC. All of that griping, and they're still there. They're still in the ACC. And their revenue share didn't really change that much. They're stuck. And on top of that, there's no guarantees that even if they figure out a way, one way or the other, to get out of the ACC, that anybody's going to be calling them and that they're going to find themselves in a much better situation. The SEC doesn't necessarily need Florida State. They don't have to have them. The Big Ten is looking for AAU institutions, high-quality academic schools. Florida State doesn't fit that mold there. So even if Florida State leaves the ACC, what's the end game going to be? Are they going to end up in the Big 12 when it's all said and done here? Florida State overplayed their hand. They're stuck right back where they are, and they're upset about it, and they got nowhere to go at this point in time. Will Florida State leave the ACC? What do you think? Are they done anytime soon? Chime in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no. Is Florida State done in the Atlantic Coast Conference? Chime in, tell us what you think in the comment section. To the winners list, we find Oregon and Washington. The Ducks and the Huskies, it got very close for Oregon and Washington of just being in complete panic mode because that week that they were trying to figure out their future, it wasn't until the 11th hour that the Big Ten came calling and said, we want you. We've upped our offer. This is what it's going to take to come into our league. And they found their way into the league they really wanted to be in the entire time. They escaped out of the madness that was the Pac-12. And although they're only getting a partial revenue share right now, it was going to be more than they were going to make in the Pac-12. They get the linear television situation. And then, in a few years from now, they will get the full revenue share. For a bit, Rutgers and Northwestern are going to make more money than they are, but it won't last. Eventually, they'll get that money that everybody else is getting. It paid off for Oregon and Washington as far as that goes. Next on the losers list, the Pac-12 propaganda machine. When the Big 12 was on the brink of falling apart, we heard from the so-called experts, the Stuart Mandells, the John Canzanos, the John Wilmores, the Tony Altmores, even Bill Walton, trashing the Big 12, calling this a truck stop conference, saying that the Pac-12 was in better position to succeed and that the Pac-12 had a brighter future and that the Big 12 wasn't going to make it and the Pac-12 was going to get a better TV deal and all of this. And shaming the Big 12, showing all this elitism towards the Big 12 conference. Well, who's laughing now? Big 12 is still going, booming, going strong. What does the Pac-12 have left? 4 teams, that's right. So for all the people that carried the water, Stuart Mandel from the Unathletic, and John Canzano, and John Wilmore, and Tony Altmore, and Bill Walton, all of you that had all this hate towards the Big 12, that were slamming this league, calling it a truck stop conference and everything, who's laughing now, okay? Y'all are out of here. Y'all are looking for a lifeboat, and the Big 12 is thriving. I don't feel bad for you. You all are frauds. You deserve this. Last on the winners list, prime time, Deion Sanders. It all started with Colorado this go round, with Colorado announcing their intentions to return to the Big 12 Conference. And think about this. You talk about the domino effect. Colorado was not going to go to the Big 12 Conference until Deion Sanders was pushing for Colorado to return to the Big 12 Conference. He hasn't even coached a single game at the FBS level at this point. And yet he was able to orchestrate the future of his school's athletic conference, the direction that they were going to go. Deion wanted back in the state of Texas to be able to recruit and those resources to compete, to take on those Texas schools. And Colorado made it happen. And it was very clear that Fox and ESPN wanted Deion on TV. They wanted to broadcast Deion's games. I mean, even this season, Colorado is going to be on Big Noon Kickoff the first 2 games of the year. Deion got what he wanted. A guy that hasn't even coached a game yet, and here he is getting to get his school in the conference he wants to be in. We've already seen Deion recruit at a high level there at Colorado. It's only going to go up from here. Deion back in Texas, that's going to be dangerous for everybody else, and that's going to be a threat for the rest of the Big 12, what Deion's about to do in the recruiting trail in that state. Last on the losers list is the ACC. Look at the ACC with all that everything went on in realignment. As things stand right now, they didn't add anything. The TV contract is still as bad as it was before all this. They're stuck, and everybody wants out. The Magnificent Seven, as they're labeling themselves, are all trying to orchestrate a way out. You got some teams that are wanting Stanford and Cal to come in, and then others that are saying, no, absolutely not. And you get questions about Notre Dame's future. Are they eventually going to go to the Big Ten? It's all looking pretty bad. The ACC is eventually going to fall apart in the same way the Pac-12 did. Might not be next year, but it's going to happen at some point in time. The ACC is in trouble, folks. It's not looking good. Countdown clock is on the ACC. What are the chances the ACC survives? Scale it for me, 1 through 10. Let me know what you think in the comments section. The chances of the ACC surviving at this point in time. Scale it for me, 1 through 10. Let me know what you think. Subscribe now for more college football coverage. We got you covered here on College Football Now by Chat Sports, talking realignment. We will transition soon and be talking about college football action as things return to the field here in the coming days. We got you covered. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll see you next time here on College Football Now.